From Sacramento State, this is Beyond J, taking conversations from campus to the world. I'm your host, Philip Allstott. Today is Earth Day, and as you may be aware, Sacramento State is consistently rated one of the most sustainable campuses in the world. It's a tree campus, a bee campus, a bike-friendly campus, and recently ranked one of the top 100 most sustainable campuses in the world. The campus has earned a gold rating from the Association for the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education and has a goal of being carbon neutral by 2040. Behind all of those accolades and inspirations is a dedicated team of staff and students who work hard to make Sac State's green dreams into reality. And leading them is Ryan Todd, a Sac State alum and currently the campus's Director of Energy and Sustainability. He graduated from Sac State in 2009 with a degree in environmental studies and a resolve to do his part to help the planet. Today, he joins us to discuss his journey as a Sac State student and sustainability advocate, what the university is doing to meet its sustainability goals, and why it's so important. Ryan Todd, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Philip.
What is your current role at Sac State?
So right now, as you mentioned, I'm the Director of Energy and Sustainability, and I am one of 7 full-time staff who focus on those efforts. I do a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff and help my core team do their jobs at the end of the day. We also have 9 college course students at the moment, which is a great program we work through the campus with. That's been very successful in regards to maintaining the garden that we oversee. And then we have 7 students that work with us for academic credit. So we have a pretty robust team at the moment. And it's given us the ability to do a lot of different things. Generally speaking, I give tours a lot to K through 12 groups and different college classes, and the spiel at the beginning of the tour of what we do, because you ask 5 people what sustainability means and you'll get 5 different answers.
Yeah.
So what our core function at Sac State is we work to reduce energy, water, waste, and greenhouse gas emissions. And we do projects within those spaces in order to achieve the reductions. We set goals. We track those goals through metrics using metering all throughout campus. And that's kind of our core function, right, is looking at those things, tracking them, doing the reporting on an annual basis to organizations like ASHI that you mentioned in regards to our STARS Gold certification, our international rating systems like University of Indonesia's Green Metrics. That's where we were ranked 81st in the world in regards to sustainability last year. So we do a lot of those things, but it all boils down to tracking what we're doing, making sure we're making progress, and then implementing projects within each of those spaces to hopefully make the campus more sustainable.
Why don't we backtrack a little bit and tell me what it was like being a Sac State student?
So it's been a little while.
Yeah.
When I first started working at Sac State, it was kind of odd because a lot of the folks that were my faculty were still here. They have since retired, so I've gotten a bit older. So I came here from the Bay Area, grew up down in San Jose. I moved out when I was 17, and so came up to Sacramento and kind of figured it out. I was really interested in the outdoors. I did a lot of hiking, camping, because at the end of the day, I was 17. We had moved out, and it was very cheap to go hiking, and so that created the love of nature. And then when I saw that Sac State had a program that aligned with the things I was most interested in, that's what attracted me here. And then throughout the program, I took a variety of courses that got me more and more interested in the world of sustainability. Back in 2009, when I graduated, to be honest, sustainability was a new idea. You had the environmental movement, you've had Earth Day for many years, but sustainability as it is today was really just forming. And so I got to learn about what sustainability was as it was becoming, an idea that a lot of companies and organizations were starting to embrace. And the thing that really kind of set me in the right direction in regards to my career when I was a student at Sac State was the ENVS program here has a required senior thesis project. And so, everybody takes it, students still take it within the program, but that gave me the opportunity to do something hands-on. And so what my thesis project was I worked with Kaiser Permanente to determine a way for them to reduce waste in a hospital setting. So I worked with a specific hospital. It was Kaiser Sac at the time. I came up with a game plan to reduce their waste, and then I reached out to them, and they actually said, "Hey, this is great. Come on out, and we'll let you do your thesis here," which was great because I honestly didn't think anybody would respond to a student from Sac State. But I wanted my thesis to be hands-on because that's the way that I learn, right? I didn't want to just do something in theory, and I had this idea and reached out to them, and it worked out. And so, I did their project for them. I got a bunch of support at the time from Kaiser. Actually, they implemented the program, and it lasted at Kaiser years even after I did my thesis. I wrote my whole thesis project
really cool.
on it. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. And then about a year later, I got a call from Kaiser, and they said, "We have a job opening. Do you want to come work for us?" And so, as a relative new grad, that was fantastic to get my first job at a big corporation like Kaiser. And I wouldn't have gotten it if the thesis program didn't exist and it wasn't a requirement at Sac State. And so, that was my kind of the core thing that I remember and that made me successful after that, was giving me that opportunity to get out there and work with a big organization like that.
And so now you're back on campus, clearly.
Yes. Yep.
And we're glad to have you. It sounds like, you said 7 full-time staff, but also 7 students. How do you involve the students? What are the responsibilities?
Yeah. So I kind of break our students into 3 categories. We have college core students, again, through the college core program. Those students are really the core of how we oversee the garden, because my team oversees the garden at Capitol Public Radio.
Yeah.
And so that's the only way we're able to manage those. Those students, they plant, they harvest, they do seed starts, they pick the fruits and vegetables, take them over to the food pantry. So that whole program really is the core of what those students do. And then we have other batches of students that we work with. Most of the colleges on campus have a version of the 195 program, or 195 class, which is an internship class. And so we regularly have students approach us, not necessarily just environmental studies students, but other students in business, or food and consumer sciences, a variety of disciplines, engineering, who have an interest in sustainability and want to work with us somehow. And so a lot of times we propose that as a solution, because then they get academic credit, right? It's beneficial to them graduating, but we choose a project that aligns with their interests, because at the end of the day, we want them to be interested in it, right? We're benefiting because we have them work on a project with us, and we get something done ultimately, which is great, right?
Yeah,
so that's a win for us. But then they get some hands-on experience, and if they can get academic credit for it, it's even better. And so those projects generally are very specific to the discipline that the student is in, and also their interests. For example, we have a tiny house that originally was built by the mechanical engineering construction management department.
Yeah.
So we inherited that. And we have an engineering student right now who's helping us revamp the solar array and battery system, right? So that's something that benefits us because the tiny house could use a little upgrade in that area, but they get a hands-on project, and we treat them almost like it would be a client, customer relationship. Obviously we're here to help them, but we set out the parameters of the project and we say, we're going to check in with you on a regular basis. And here's the final outcome that we expect. And for us, if we get ultimately anything out of it, it's in a better place than where we were to start with. Mm-hmm. And in either scenario, the student gets a really good hands-on, job experience that they're also getting academic credit for. And then the third category is students that just want to volunteer with us. So we have a lot of students who are like, I don't need the units. I just want to work with you guys. We're interested in this topic. What can I do? And that's very similar in that we try to plug them into things that they're interested in. But it's a bit less of a formal process. There's no academic credit for it. We just get them set up with whatever they need, talk about the project, and then keep track of their progress throughout their time with us.
Yeah, there's a theme that I've noticed at Sac State, and we talk about it all the time here, is that Sac State students get a lot of hands-on experience. That 195 course you're talking about, is that work in the field? Is that what it's called?
I think it's technically, I think it depends on the college, because I've seen, and we've worked with a variety of different colleges, but the core of it is an internship, but it's an internship generally off of campus. Honestly, it's funny because I didn't take it when I was a student here, but the work I did at Kaiser probably would have qualified now looking at what the ENVS 195 course is. It kind of would fit the bill. But really, it's designed to get students some experience in their field beyond what they're doing in the classroom. And I think we have a lot of students that come to us with an interest in doing the 195 courses because, we're on campus physically, but we operate very similarly to an organization that would not be on campus because we don't do any teaching. We treat them more as you would be treated when you get out into the real world, right? Here's the expectation of what you're going to be producing. It's in a safe environment, right? But the end outcome is still, your expectation is that you'll do this and you'll have a finished product that can benefit our organization, but we will give you a really cool talking point during an interview, right? That goes beyond just getting your degree. And I think that's really valuable for students. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's the kind of the bonus of being here. We were students actually about the same time. Were we? That's
and I did a 195 in studio lighting, gallery lighting, and hanging artwork, the sort of the art of hanging artwork. And I use it all the time, of all the things that I learned. Are there any exciting new projects I might not have heard about in sustainability on campus?
Our group can never really sit still, so we always have a million different things going. Some of the more recent stuff, we put up some large scale solar on campus in the last few years because we're trying to make the campus, use more renewable energy. So you'll have seen, recently the large solar array in Lot 10 came online, parking structure 5, parking structure 3. So we've been working on that kind of behind the scenes for quite a while. We've been doing some energy reduction projects because, with energy, you have two approaches. You entirely, you use renewable energy as your source, but really what you want to be doing is reducing the amount of energy that you're using first. Because it saves money ultimately, and if you can avoid needing to use it, that would be your first choice. And so that's kind of our two-pronged approach with a lot of the energy projects is, add renewable energy, but also reduce the amount of energy that we're using. So you probably will have seen a lot of lighting retrofit projects. Sacramento Hall actually got some recent retrofits for that. The biggest example of that was the library. It's been a number of years now, but during the pandemic, which feels like it was yesterday,
it does.
We had the opportunity, a very unique opportunity, to close the library for a big portion of time and go in there and gut it in regards to the lights. There's not very many times when you can easily shut a library down. So that was kind of our flagship lighting retrofit energy reduction project. It cut the building's energy usage in half, actually, which was pretty substantial. And had pretty substantial cost savings as well. We tracked with that building, it cut our electricity cost by about $100,000 a year, just for that one building's lighting. So we used that as our flagship project and then copied it. And so I think now we're up to 6 or 7 buildings. Some of our largest buildings, Riverside Hall, Mariposa is hopefully getting it this summer if we stay on schedule. Lassen, some of the larger buildings got the same lighting system that went into the library because we saw such substantial energy savings. So there's some of that stuff. And then getting into some of the more, I would say, unique, fun stuff. We've been doing a lot of work in regards to food collection on campus recently. we brought online an anaerobic digester, which is pretty cool. I won't go way into the weeds on what that is.
It's very interesting. I was reading about this.
Yeah.
What is it called? Like if our listeners like wanted to Google it or search for it.
So our unit is actually, it's got a brand name. That's probably the easiest way for you to look it up. Ours is a CHOMP, so CHOMP, anaerobic digester. And so in a nutshell, it copies the natural process that happens in a cow's gut. And because there's different bacteria or archaea that live in a cow's stomach, you put organic material in, right? The cow eats grass. That grass gets broken down, and it creates natural gas. Well, with a cow, that natural gas leaves the cow on either end, goes into the atmosphere, and gets wasted. And so what we've been able to do is we've used the same bacteria or the same archaea. We literally went out. I did not do this, but two of my staff went out to State Fair and scooped up cow manure from State Fair and brought it back. And they inoculated our digester with that bacteria. So it's literally the exact same bacteria. The bacteria do what they would have done, even if it was in the cow's stomach. They create a natural gas, and then we capture that natural gas. We send it through a generator that uses natural gas, and then we create electricity, and we store that electricity in a battery. And so you're starting with food waste from the campus, and then the end product after this process, it's a natural process. We're not doing anything that nature doesn't already do.
Just
electricity.
Controlling it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. And so that's been really fun. But again, it comes back to those core pillars, right? That's helping reduce campus food waste. And so that's the nice thing about the work we do is there's no prescription on how to do it, which is why I'm still here after 10 years, because I want a blank slate, right? Tell me what the end goals are. And this is how, most of my team is as well. They don't want me to tell them what to do. They just want me to tell them what the end goal is, and we can get there. And so that's been really fun to take a unique piece of technology like that, reduce our food waste, and then create an end product. And so we're hoping to, in the near future, one of my staff has an electric vehicle. So we're hoping to take the electric vehicle out there and charge it on the system. So in theory, we'd be charging her car with food waste from campus.
Yeah, so cool. So let me ask you, why do you feel like it's so important for a large institution like Sac State to focus on sustainability?
So I have a few different answers to that, actually.
Okay. Lay them on me.
One of them is it's kind of interwoven into what sustainability is, especially in a budget time like right now in the state of California. Is at the end of the day, you can save a lot of money by doing things like retrofitting your lights, turning your lights off, powering things down. So there's a lot of cost savings there. And so that's really the from an institutional standpoint, right? In a time of budget, you should be thinking about what you're doing. You should be minimizing the amount of energy you're using. You should be minimizing the amount of water that you're using. And a lot of the programs and projects that we implement ultimately do that. And so there is almost always cost savings in the sustainability projects that we pursue. I mentioned the lighting project earlier. It cut from one single building by swapping the lights out. It cut the cost by $100,000 a year. So purely on the financial front, it makes a ton of sense for both higher education, but any organization. It makes a lot of sense, and that's why when I worked at Kaiser, I was able to do that. Kaiser, at the end of the day, technically they're a nonprofit, but they operate very similarly to a business, and it makes good business sense. And so it's the same at a university. But going beyond that, students, we're seeing more and more students want to work with us and be interested in what we're doing. And I think we're to the point where students almost expect that their university cares about this stuff and is interested and has programs that align with their values. And so, at the end of the day, you have to listen to your clients, right? You have to listen to your customers. And we're, as a department, hearing those customers more and more frequently come to us and say, hey, I'm really interested in this stuff. Either minimum, I want to learn what you guys are doing and what the campus is doing, but I want to get involved. And then lastly, really sustainability is woven into everything. So, you can take a degree in business now and there's a sustainability theme, and often there's sustainability classes in a variety of different disciplines. I can think of, a bunch of different disciplines on campus. You have fashion, they have sustainable classes, construction management, green building, business. It's not this, it's this thing that now exists everywhere around us. And so being aware of that and paying attention to that, I think is beneficial, because you wouldn't see sustainability classes popping up in disciplines other than environmental studies or biology if it wasn't critical and it wasn't important. And so we're seeing a lot more of that as well. So I would say those are probably the top three reasons why I think higher ed, any university would benefit from those.
Typically, we like to wrap things up with like a lightning round of 3 questions. And I thought as an alternative, you could give us maybe like 3 tips on how our listeners could live more sustainably, or if you want to cater to my inner hippie, maybe give us some tips on feeling more connected to the planet.
Okay. Well, I could go one beyond that, and I can give some tips of things that they could do on campus specifically.
Wow, yeah.
So Laura Gonzalez, who's on my team, she handles our waste. She would be thrilled with me mentioning this, because Laura's entire job ultimately is to convince everyone listening, everyone on campus, to appropriately dispose of their waste, right? We have tri-bins all throughout the campus, but if people don't use them, then it's for naught, right? Yeah. And so I always tell her she's got the hardest job on my team, because we don't have to convince people. We just go into a space, we'll do an energy reduction project, and it's great. So look at the labels on your bins when you're throwing anything away, and if you could put the food waste in the food waste bin, right? Anything that's living, so paper towels, napkins, all that stuff is compostable.
Okay. Yeah.
So if you could take a second and just think about which bin, and if you're not sure, there are pretty pictures on each of the bins that help. That would be huge in increasing our diversion rate for the campus, which helps with our 2030 zero waste goal that we have as a university. So that would be great. And then as far as other stuff, I don't know whether it would be supported by IT, but if you're able to shut your computers off at night when you go home, any way that you can power down would be beneficial and would save the campus energy, especially during the summertime, because energy is very expensive, but also we don't want to be wasting it. And there's a type of energy called vampire energy, which really is, even when you're not using a piece of equipment, it's drawing power. And so any way that you can turn the lights off if they don't go off by themselves, or power your computer down if you're able to, and there's no IT pushes happening at the time, those things would be really, really beneficial. And then the last thing is more kind of, a personal thing, is just pay attention to what you're buying when you're buying things, right? Try to purchase things that align with your values, because a lot of times you can purchase things that are more sustainable just by doing a little bit of research before you purchase whatever it is, instead of just going on to Amazon and hitting, the go button and having it show up at your door 24 hours later. So those would probably be the 3 things, 2 on campus and then 1 personal.
Perfect. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming down here today.
Yes, this was fun. Thank you.
Thanks. Beyond J is a production of University Communications at Sacramento State. Our producer is Jonathan Morales. Photography and videography by Bibiana Ortiz. And editing by me, your host, Philip Allstott. If you liked this episode, please leave us a review and consider following us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have questions or comments, email us at communications@csus.edu. And visit us online at csus.edu/news/beyondj.